6:30, we call Sawyer County Public Works meeting to order. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Ron Kingsley,
Here.
Mark Howard,
Yes.
Ed Peters,
Here.
Dale Olson.
Here.
Net.
Here.
Forum.
So we have a quorum with Brian Bisnet is on virtual. So there's 5 committee members here. Certificate of compliance with open meetings law.
The meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.4 of the Wisconsin statute.
Thank you. Meeting agenda is set. Number 5 is public comment. We have a few people that would like to speak. Start with Mr. Donald Worsing.
Stand up. Or?
Yes. Tell us your name and address, please.
All right. Come closer to a microphone. You can just stand or sit, whatever you
Okay,
want.
my name is Donald Worsing. I live at 3366 North County Road W, or County Road M, Winter, Wisconsin. I'm here speaking in opposition to the Snowball Trail reroute. I'd like to thank Gabe for letting me know about the meeting. Otherwise, that's the first time anyone's contacted me about this. They snuck the four-wheeler extension through and now they're trying to do this. They didn't tell anyone about it. I've talked to all the other neighbors that live on my road and none of them are in favor of this. Everybody's opposed to it. Mostly for me, it's about safety. You know, I don't know how a couple of people meeting in July out there can deem this safe. I work in a manufacturing facility and safety is everything. It's documented. You know, we follow code. In this case, my ditches are 6 feet deep and once I plow the snow up, there's going to be huge blind spots. So if this goes through, it's basically an invitation to drive down the shoulders of the road. My wife, a number of other people walk, run out there, and I just don't see how that's safe. And you know, the local businesses are going to make it about business, but I don't know how you put price tag on safety. So other than that, I recognize that the state has an easement in my ditch, but I kind of question how that can be transferred to a second or third party. So I guess that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bill Norman.
Bill Noonan, I'm past president of Sawyer County Snowmobile ATV Alliance. Our president couldn't be here tonight. We are in favor of the reroute. And let me tell you why. This is the Sawyer County map of trails. And you've got Rusk, Bayfield, Washburn, Price, all the counties. My point is this. We have maintained the trails, volunteers I might add, in this county for years. We cross many driveways, highways. We're very concerned about safety. We're very concerned about signage. And we try to do our job the best we can. We're all volunteer. None of us get paid. We earn our money from state. What's important here, that what you're looking at is we have what are called corridor trails. Trail 8 is a corridor trail that connects counties to counties. 31 connects counties to counties. 27 counties. Tuscovia 10 connects counties to counties. And Trail 25 that we're talking about connects, in this case, the southeastern corner of Sawyer down to Rusk County. Very much like an artery. They are feeders for people who want to come in and want to go out and go somewhere else. Riders like a lot of variety. You had a question, sir?
Can you show me exactly where it's at on the map?
The discussion is right, it's right here.
It's Coney down by down.
3 miles right in here.
W.
The trail that's closed is here. And it crosses, here's where this bridge will go. So we are in favor of it. The members behind me, also from the Alliance, representing us tonight. And we ask for your support.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, I got one.
Sir?
If we close this, does it actually prevent anyone from using those trails? I mean, can they not trail or snowmobile and go to the other side and still access all the trails?
I guess I don't really understand your question.
Just
Yeah.
because you close a short section, there's still parking lots they can trail or go to the
to
other
trailer
side
into Sawyer County
and still get to all
or
the
out
other
of Sawyer,
trails.
I'm sure they can. But isn't really happening.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I ask him another question?
Sure.
Why did the other trail close? Why did the other trail close?
Bridge is out. There's a bridge that went out in, Don, help me out.
This spring.
April?
Yeah,
Don Morotech is trail
the
coordinator.
DNR closed down the trail here because the bridge is out. They're gonna be replacing the bridge, so it should be only a 1 year thing. We do have the DNR representative here too. You can-
So Don, you're saying, you just said 1 year, so this will be back open, the old trail will be back open next year?
Yes, the intent is from the DNR.
Why don't we wait till we get that item on the agenda, please?
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Mr. Tim Davison?
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that we were all represented here and that anybody that was on the Zoom or the camera acknowledged who they were.
Okay. Thank you. And I have one for Loretta Trailblazers. Oh, Terry Slack, Tony Slack, sorry.
I'm the secretary of the Loretta Trailblazers. Our president couldn't be here, and I also own the Flambeau Forest Inn, and it would affect us. Although my understanding is, and we don't sled, so everything we've learned is by owning the business. From what I understand, you can run the ditch line anyhow. So, I mean, is it gonna make a difference? To me, it's gonna be safer if the DNR and the Alliance help us out with signage and everything else. And it would affect our business and the businesses around us all the way up to Oxbow and in that area as well.
Mr. Morotech.
Yes, Don Rotech, trail coordinator for the Sawyer County Snowmobile ATV Alliance. In regards to safety, we have hundreds, if not thousands of miles of snowmobile trail that are along the right of way of both county highways and state highways there. So, I don't really foresee a problem there. As was mentioned here, legally, you can drive snowmobile 10 foot off the travel portion of the road out there. By making a designated trail, it's gonna actually make it safer there that, where there are places where it might be snow plowed from driveways here, you'll be able to cross it easier. Otherwise, you'd actually have to go out on the roadway if driveways have plowed up the thing. So it will actually be safer, in my opinion, having a designated trail there rather than snowmobiles just going there like they can.
Thank you.
Question.
Anybody else out there?
Is there any standards for safety? Anything you follow?
Sorry?
Yeah, to address the chart.
Let us get to
Okay.
the agenda, please. No one else has.
Chairman.
Okay.
Chairman Kinsley.
Yes.
Chairman Kinsley, I have a question for Don. Are you gonna groom that trail then?
Yes,
Okay, so I don't snowmobile, but usually when you groom, it's pulling snow, filling in the low spots, taking off the high spots.
correct.
So this gentleman's got a driveway there, and he testified that he's got 6 foot banks on either side, which I do too. How will you alleviate that if the groomer comes through and you put 6 inches or a foot of snow in his driveway, and you're driving a little car like mine, is there some way the club can take care of that for him for this year?
Somewhat, the question is, are those 6 foot in the right of way of the road? Is he actually, in the right of way of the road where we're gonna be? As I said, the trail's in the right of way road. It's actually county property there.
Well, that's
So-
fantastic, but if you're affecting his ingress and egress,
Yes.
then that's a problem for me.
Yes.
So is there any way we can have some kind of confidence that he's going to be able to have a reasonably clear driveway to get in and get out?
I hesitate to make promises on something that I'm not sure. We do. That's a connected to the tractor down there, so we
May
don't
I?
have a blade on the tractor.
Can I help out for a moment? That'll answer that question.
If you state your name and your address,
I
please.
certainly will. My name is Tom Witt. I'm a resident of Northwoods Beach, 7434 North Indian Drive, and I'm a trail captain for Snow Trails. Operating the groomer, what takes place when we get to driveways and in my position as a trail captain for Snow Trails, we groom everything from Hayward out to the lakes of Little Round, Chief, so forth. We go over a lot of driveways. We also go down 27, then K to Grindstone and Coudray. Along K, we jump over, I think, 6 driveways. What happens when the groomer comes to the driveway, it lifts the drag up ahead of the driveway. So there's air underneath of it, usually about 1.5 feet. Gets on the driveway, starts to go down, and then sets the drag back down, pulling whatever snow is mounted up on the edge of the driveway down into the trail. The machine has to go back the other way, and the same process takes place going the opposite direction. We don't take and dump snow on people's driveways. If snow does get on the driveway, we can go back and bury the drag down and scrape it off, but that's normally not the case. And going over all the driveways along Highway K, the snow plows come and pile snow up 3-4 feet high, and the tractor goes right over it. The drag pulls it out on the opposite side. So we do our very best to make sure that your driveway is not impeded or impaired in any way, shape, or form. And I'm sure the club down there would be happy to share contact information with you so that if there is a problem, I can't imagine that they wouldn't come out and do what's necessary to alleviate your concern.
Thank you, sir. Can I say something? I'm the groomer operator that runs that trail.
Stand up, say your name. and your
My name's
address.
Barry Slack. W980, County Road W, Winter, Wisconsin. We go across M multiple times. It's no different than a driveway. As we're going across, you dump the snow before you go across. When you hit the other side, you pull the banks down. And you go back the opposite way, you do the same thing. The roads are always clean. And the driveway is gonna be no different that way. So. Well,
And just, if I could just finish up there, and one thing, if he's throwing a 6-foot high thing there, that's where I hesitate to say, because that's gonna create a problem for the drag, you know. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do with 6 foot of snow. So if it's in the right of way, in the trail there, you know, I can't guarantee that there won't be some snow.
Thank you, Mr. Best.
Neil Blaisel, 6996, Highway 70 Winter. For this year, we have already made provisions for this. We're taking an extra groomer down to Condos Lake with a blade on. So if this happens, we'll just go out there with the blade.
Thank you.
Along that whole road, because we know it could be tough.
Anybody else in the group care to speak? Thank you. Next item. The minutes of the November 3rd meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
second.
Motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Olson to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 7, Sawyer County Airport report. Mr. Leslie.
Good evening, folks. First of all, is there any questions, burning questions, anything you guys wish to discuss? It's not on the report that you want to see, talk about.
Highlight your report for us, please.
I guess I'll start out with the fact that Tim's not here tonight, so I could kind of touch on a couple things that he may have. We've plowed twice now out at the airport. Things with Thompson's are going really well so far. Our relationship and talking with them about flights that we have in and out seems to be going well. Our LTE, who has done the grass mowing in the past, is now operating our machine, doing the blowing and the brooming and cleanup basically with the machine that we have at the airport. So we spent the better part of this week every day working with him as he's learning the machine, and things seem to be going pretty good. I'm pleased, and I think that the folks out at the airport are going to be pleased with the progress we're making as well.
Thank you.
Otherwise, a couple things highlight in my report. There's now up to 4 acts that have been passed that are gonna, in some capacity, affect us at the airport. I think that we've been compensated back for one of them now. Working with Tom and Mike about the second one, and we're kind of discussing how we use those funds. We've got some operational needs at the airport that we've been discussing as well, using some of those funds for. Now, the fourth round is there's CARES Act and CIRSA and ARPA funding. I think just about every department's been affected by those in some capacity, but the airport's getting funding from those as well. So that's a good thing. And the profits are up and the revenues are down, or wait, now how does that go? Expenses are down.
Hopefully the other way.
I think that's from Spider-Man. But no, things seem to be going good and ready for next year, and hopefully things will kind of get back to normal.
Do you know off the top of your head how many leases are coming up in the next 3 months?
I don't think we have any for this fiscal year. I think we might have one next year, 1 or 2 next year, and then it's basically 1 or 2 every year for the next 10 years. It's because pretty much all the hangars were built between 90 and 2000. So there's going to be, I think there's almost 1 every year. But nothing on the agenda for tonight.
Is there any leases that aren't filled?
We have a couple outliers. Lynn and I have been working. I have to applaud Lynn. Lynn's been working very hard on trying to get all the hangar leases dressed up, trying to get all the documentation trackable. A lot of people have had their hands in it over the years, and there's kind of folders on top of folders of information that was never digitized. And I can tell you, Lynn's probably spent dozens of hours working on trying to get everything prepared. So, and I think we've made very good progress. As far as this year, I think we only have a couple issues that are still outstanding. There's larger issues as far as hangar uses that are still in concern. But we just haven't gotten to the point where we can tackle that yet. So, but yeah, otherwise, terminal building remodel's been going well. We're trying to tackle the bathrooms here after the first of the year. And they're gonna be 1 ADA handicap accessible and 1 standard bathroom, because the size of the building doesn't require there to be 2 handicap bathrooms, but they will both be unisex, as opposed to a men's and a women's now.
When do you anticipate that getting done?
The contractor says he wants to start the first working day of the year, which is January 3rd. So I don't know if it might take a month. Based upon the rest of our remodel, it might take a little bit longer. But it looks really nice. I invite anybody to come out, swing out to the airport, see the changes we've made in the terminal building. The only other thing is we do have a meeting down here next week in this room for the planned runway project for 2024. It's called a scoping meeting, is basically the idea of it, but it's preliminary review of what we're gonna do and identifying who the stakeholders are at the airport, what are the needs, and what are we gonna try to accomplish with the project. And it's actually a pretty big step, because it gets the people who are using the airport involved in the process.
When is it?
14th at 1 o'clock. I think the 14th and the 13th. I gotta look.
It's in the printed report too.
14th,
It's in the printed report.
first sentence.
Thank you.
14th at 1 o'clock. So the consultant, I know that you guys are working with the consultant with the courthouse as well. They did up a 50-page document just about the Sawyer County Airport and why it's amazing, and what we're gonna do to make it even more amazinger. And I invite you to, if you can't find a copy of it, Tom or I can get it to you as well. Review that, because it kind of talks about the history and some of the recent improvements and upcoming improvements that need to be made at the airport. It's pretty thorough. Nice read.
Thank you. Any questions for Derek? Thank you, Derek. Number 8, Highway Commissioners Report. We have Gary Gephardt virtual tonight. He went through a surgery on Monday, so he is joining us virtually. Mr. Gephardt, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on the commissioner's report?
No, we'll move forward.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything additional. Like Ron said, I went in Monday for surgery and I've got my post-op on the 22nd of December and my expected return date is going to be the 27th. So I've been trying to handle things from home. I've got my computer hooked into the my emails and everything. So if anyone has any questions or concerns, you can always get a hold of me and I'll get back with you that day.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
I see that the employees were offered the third COVID test. Did people
Booster.
actually, yeah, the booster, did they actually take you up on that?
Majority of, at one point I had 100% field staff. That's down to about 90% now. And I think just about everyone, we had a few that didn't opt in for it, but most of the employees did.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Go letter B, request for a temporary snowmobile route on the right of way off County Road M. Help us
Okay.
out, Gary.
Okay, I was approached in July by Department of Natural Resources to discuss this route. This is the same reroute we had for the ATV, UTVs because of the bridge, which was discussed earlier in public comment. So I rode the route with the Kyle Marinoff and Dan Yankowiak, and it's a temporary reroute for whatever it would be this winter, whatever 3 months, whatever it would be. So I didn't see any issues with it. As was mentioned earlier, state law allows the operation of snowmobiles within the ditch line, regardless of whether it's a route or not. A route, in my opinion, would just make it safer. You'd have signage, you'd have the grooming. I feel that if they're going to run the route regardless, or run the road regardless whether it's a route or not. So I just feel that's the safest avenue that we could have to proceed forward. That's all I have.
Thank you. There's a gentleman from the DNR. Would you like to say anything, please?
Sure, yeah. So we have another one on the phone as well, but my name is Dan Yankowiak. I'm a recreation liaison with the Wisconsin DNR. I'm here out of Hayward, and I can just basically speak to the reason this is being proposed at all, which is, yeah, we had a bridge inspection on the Connors Creek Bridge at the Forest, failed inspection, so we're not authorized to allow any type of motor vehicle traffic on it. So yeah, without this reroute, you basically have a disconnected snowmobile trail system. So between being contacted by the Alliance and discussing this with Erie, we feel that this is helpful to accommodate our closure for hopefully just this year. This is a project that's already in the Department of Administration system. Their schedule is saying that it should be done prior to next snowmobile season. So we're fully anticipating this just being a one-year detour on our part. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Howard.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the trail detour.
I'll second that.
There's a motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Peters. Any discussion?
I have some discussion. I'm wondering, Mr. Helwig and Mr. Peters, if you'd accept a friendly amendment that we add in that this is just for the snowmobile season of 21-22. I'm assuming the bridge is going to be repaired by next year.
It's a Department of Administration project. We're anticipating by next year.
And make it just for a year. And I would also like to see
either the clubs or whoever reach out to the people that do have driveways on that stretch of road with contact information. So if there is a problem, they don't have to look and poke and guess. That way they have a contact and it is for this year only. If you would accept that as a friendly amendment to the motion.
I would accept the amendment as far as saying, for this snowball year, but I don't believe there's any need to put in
Well, I can take care of the rest of it, if it's okay. I'm gonna ask Mr. Bessel if he'd share his phone number with this gentleman, so if there's a problem, I'm sure they'll have to try to take care of it.
Yeah, I can do that. I pretty much take care of the winter, but there is 2 other people down there that are there all the time, and I'll make sure that you get a hold of them.
At least that way he's got some phone numbers you can call. That's
We're the
fine.
Flambeau Forest Inn, and we're neighbors with him, we know him.
Okay.
So he can
I
call
know
my
most
husband.
people.
I'm good with that, Ben.
Can I ask who's gonna move the fire number in my pitch? I mean, if you're gonna drive a groomer over it.
I guess that's a fair question. I would like to think they're not gonna hit your fire number. If there's a problem with it, and they do, let somebody know, please.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those things that you'll have to, contact each other about, make sure it doesn't happen. I'm sure they're very good about that.
So we have an amendment by Mr. Olson and second amendment by Mr. Hellwig. We'll vote on amendment first. Any more discussion regarding the amendment? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And now we have the motion to approve the trail, the temporary trail for 1 year.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one question.
Yes.
The route that's indicated on this map shows the orientation of the trail to be somewhat removed from County Road M. Is that the case, or is that just a figment of an issue with the scale of the map?
This rule tech,
Probably
you know,
the
so-
scale and you can't even.
Gary's online, Gary went out there. My understanding is basically in the ditch line or the right of way of the highway, the whole way up there. It's not, yeah. It should be in the right of way of the highway though, that whole section of the along.
Okay,
Going up there.
because that is, in some places, it looks to me like it would be 50 to 75 feet off of the highway. And so it's only 33 feet from center line.
I don't believe that's the case. I believe it's right away the highway, the whole section. Dale, do you know offhand? Do you know?
Just a minute. Gary, can you help us out here, please?
It's within the 33 feet right away.
Thank you, Gary.
I think the gentleman did the best they could for us, right, making the lines, or whomever.
I guess I would question why you would go to the intersection of M and W when there's a little jog that's an actual snowmobile trail that goes around that.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Peters?
Yes, it does.
So we have the motion in front of us. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. That's something you're gonna have to ask them, okay? Because I can't answer it. Thank you. Moving on. Letter C, fund balance for Highway Department. Mr. Gephardt.
Anyone have any questions on the fund balance? We've got some additional money coming in from the DOT and then our check for state aids for county trunk highways also.
Any questions for him? Brian, you got any questions?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gephardt. Get well. Get back on.
Yeah,
back
okay,
to work.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Next item is number 9. Number 9, Maintenance Department report. Tim was nice enough to put a report together for us. He's under the weather tonight, so he wasn't not able to join us. Any questions, concerns? Okay. We'll move forward. Number Number 10, Oasis Building Uses and Opportunities. This is on the agenda because this committee takes care of grounds work. There's been a little bit of change going on there. So I thought it was important that we check it out, and I asked Mr. Huff to give us an update.
Yeah, just as an update, the county owns a building there on South 63, was occupied by the county for the Oasis service that we provided. The other part of the building, it's not quite half, it's about a third and 2/3, but the smaller portion is still occupied by Northwest Passage for the daycare, adult daycare that they run there. So the side that Oasis used to occupy is currently being used by the Health and Human Services Department for the booster shots and the COVID testing. So that's going to continue through this month at least. In the future, we've got some opportunities to do some different things in the Health and Human Services Department. Probably the county board will be looking at the opioid settlement, which will receive some funds for the opioid pandemic to help remediate some activity there. We've also received word yesterday or the day before that we received the TAD grant that we applied for. That's the Treatment Alternatives Grant. So there's some other activities that we'll have that we'll need some space for. So, as far as public works goes, when that building opened up, or that side of the building opened up, there was some chatter about, do we want to keep the building? Do we want to sell the building? I think there's value in keeping the building for some purpose, but it's your opportunity, since the building is mostly empty. If you wanted to do something different with the building, now would be the time to entertain that thought.
Mr. Howard.
I think, Tom, I mentioned before, and you mentioned the opioid monies will be coming to us eventually. I would like to see us get something going in the county, and that could be our time to do it, or our opportunity, let's say, to get something going as far as opioid assistance, for lack of better.
Yeah, and we'll need to do something, because there is, just like any other bunch of free money, it's not free. You've got to comply with certain parameters that money can be used for, but it is opioid, abatement and that sort of thing. So, whether we do that at Oasis or whether we shift some things around, I think it's important that we keep the space.
Yeah, I do. Definitely not give up the building or anything, and give up the space to someone else. Keep it for ourselves to be used in whatever manner we believe is best.
Thank you.
Just putting my.
It's your part.
So I don't think we need to take any action unless you wanted to take an action to do something different. But as it stands, we own the building, and we'll continue to use the building as operations see fit. And
it sounds like it's being used in a very good manner at this point.
Yeah, Julia reported last night that that facility is working well for the purpose it's being used for now. So that's good.
Yeah, they're doing like 30 COVID tests a day out of there.
That's good. It's good to know. Thanks.
Brian, any questions regarding the Oasis building?
No, I agree that maybe just hang on to it for now. I'm sure that there's going to come time and need, if we were to even think about selling it at this point, it wouldn't be too long. We'd be scrambling, well, where can we put this program or whatever? And so I would agree to just keep going on as is right now.
Thank you.
I assume that that's an accessible building in
Yes.
terms of everything, so that's makes it more useful that way than.
Right, and it could be used the way it is for quite some time.
Never know. Yeah.
Right, we have no idea how long it could.
The county purchased that building, how long's Paul been here?
8 years.
So it purchased it about 10, 12 years ago.
Didn't they build it? Didn't the company?
We purchased
That
that.
used to
Oh,
be,
it was already there.
the old sporting goods store.
Oh, yeah. I remember now. Yep.
So there's a little update. All right, we'll go on to number 11. Courthouse remodel updates. We've been getting copies of the the minutes that have been coming out. We have a couple gentlemen from Myron on with us tonight. We have opened bids for the steel construction. They wanted to get that bid out early because it takes more time to get steel back for the project, and the roofing is the same situation. So them bids went out. And Mr. Keating, would you like to speak at all on that?
We have Dave.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Dave Keating, Project Executive with Myron. Thank you for letting me speak here today. No, I really don't have much to add. We're continuing to do, we did our second budget update a month or so ago. We're pressing on toward construction documents from Venture, anticipating those in January. We are going to kind of continue to monitor scope and take another look at the drawings here this month yet to make sure everything is tracking and trending well. We received bids for the bid pack 1, like they had mentioned. We had to get the steel coming. That's like 7-month lead time right now. They're saying that if we order it now, we're looking at getting steel joist and deck in July. So that's why we did that. Roofing, unfortunately, is still kind of the same thing as well. Insulation has extended lead times right now. So again, we're trying to get out in front of that so that when we get the rest of the structure or the rest of the project bid out, do our groundbreaking, get the structure up, we have the material when we need it. So any other questions I can answer about that process?
Dave, do you just want to touch on, the bids that we're looking at here, and the alternates, and why we elected to go with the alternates in our discussion today?
Sure. Yep. So the 2 packages that we've included in what we're calling bid package 1, like we mentioned, was the steel and the roofing. I received 3 bids on the steel, pretty good spread overall. There was some added steel between our latest budget and these structural bid documents that were released for bid package 1, reinforcing the existing wood joists that you're probably familiar with in the existing courtroom. That was added later by the structural engineer due to snow loads. So we did see an increase in the overall steel number. But again, the roofing budget, actually, the bids came in under budget for the flat roofing. The 2 alternates that we did under the roofing, the first one was just leaving the option of an EPDM switching to a TPO type of roofing, the membrane itself. And the reason we did that is because right now EPDM historically is the cheaper material, more cost-effective material, I guess I'll put it that way. But we've seen it kind of fluctuate back and forth where everybody's buying the rubber now, and then so the TPO ends up being a savings. So we wanted to at least offer that to see, if we can help with the budget, because they perform basically the same. There's no major concerns on the design team. So it turns out that, in fact, both bidders acknowledged that it was slightly cheaper to switch over to the TPO at this time. So we're recommending accepting that alternate as well, which there's some cost savings there. And then the second alternate was insulation thickness. The initial design called for like an R67 rating, I believe it was, or 68, which is extremely thick. So our roofing bidders actually identified as voluntary alternates these deducts, because they said, hey, this is outside the industry standard. Your fasteners to the decking at the highest point when you have your tapered insulation were approaching 2 feet long. So these 2 foot long fasteners were in and of themselves becoming very expensive. So it was kind of out of the ordinary. So they bid these as a voluntary alternate to reduce the thickness to more of an industry standard R36, I believe 36.8 rating or something like that, which is about 2.5 inches of thickness of insulation at the drains. And then it tapers up from there, which, it decreases your overall insulation thickness, which obviously decreases your volume of insulation and decreases your price. A pretty big savings there. So we questioned the design team. They've acknowledged that, yeah, we can kind of decrease that roof roof insulation thickness without compromising the, the operations of the HVAC system in the envelope of the building. So we think we take that savings. And the nice thing is that the deducts between the TPO switch and the insulation reduction more than offsets the amount of steel increases we saw for that reinforcing in those existing wood beams in the existing jail. So the good news is that in comparison with our budget, if we take those alternates, then I believe we're sitting something like $30,000 below budget after our first round of bid packages.
Thank you. So we have on the agenda,
Mr. Chairman?
yes,
I see that you changed and are going with EIFS for the exterior. That was one of your.
Correct, yep.
At least back when I used to do stuff, that was always a bad thing. You get moisture behind there and it buckles. Have they alleviated that in the 25 years since I used to work with it?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Our main concern with the EFS is the durability of it, right? If you're if you got a weed eater next to it, you might whack into it or whatnot. However, the main reason we made that switch was because the rest of the existing building actually, in fact, has that very same system down low. So we thought that it was good. The original plans had called for a cast stone, which is a very for what you're getting and what your use is. So we decided to take the savings to actually match what is there, if that makes sense.
Well, we have both. Cast stone, well, we have real stone and EIFS, so. Well, I was a big stone guy. I was a proponent of that, but if it's cheaper, I guess we go with it.
And we did start with stone originally to kind of match the building. But then as we started looking at value engineering and some of the cost savings that we needed to get under budget, that was one of the things that got changed.
Yeah, it's just, all it is styrofoam with gravel glued to it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would defer to Tim. I know he's not. I think you say he's not here. But if they've had concerns with the other locations where they have this, but we've seen it on a lot of projects recently, and it seems to be performing very well.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
so our letter B is accept the construction bids for steel if we wish, and then it would get passed on to the full county court.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid as put forward to us.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Helwig, second by Mr. Peters. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter C, accept the construction bids for the roof.
I would so move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that one too.
Motion by Mr. Olson, second by Mr. Peters. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Just to clarify, with the alternates included?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Anybody have any other questions regarding the courtroom updates presently? We're meeting every other week. Moving forward, they anticipate the bids they were shooting for the end of December, and now it looks like it's going to be the second week of January. The bids going to go out, which is early in the year, which is keeping the project moving forward.
It's moving. That's all we can hope for.
Thank you, Dave and Andrew.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 12, future agenda items. Anything you wish to discuss on future agenda items coming up?
Maybe. Just one of the things something was sticking in my head when we were talking about the snowmobile trail, and it was bandied about that you can ride in the ditches. And I thought there was something else to it, and I just looked it up. And you may operate your snowmobile next to or parallel to the roadway for the purpose of gaining access to and from the area of operation. So what they were talking about before, that you could ride on that road anyhow? No, you're supposed to go from your house to the nearest trail. They have that for snowmobiles, but not ATVs. So technically making that a trail without having that as their route without making it an official trail wouldn't have been, according to Wisconsin snowmobile laws, wouldn't have been legal. You know, we all kind of accepted it when somebody said it here today, and I think it would have been important to, maybe we should get a lesson in some of these ATV and snowmobile rules if we're gonna be making there's a routes for them. You know, Bill could probably find us somebody that's.
Don Morotek is probably out in the hall here. He was correct. On county roads, highways, you can ride in the ditches. What you were referring to is, for me, I live on Farnsworth Road and Round Lake. I can ride to the nearest trail. There's no ditches. I can ride down the road, you know, as near as possible to the shoulder. That's what that refers to. So ATVs, I have to trailer out of my house.
Right, yeah.
I go nowhere without a trailer.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
that's.
we have to be careful here because we're just picking out items for future agendas.
Okay.
Who's a, oh, the future agenda.
Okay.
It was. Yeah.
And also just to kind of follow up with that a little bit, Mr. Gephardt usually brings them forward and he usually reviews them prior to bringing them to us. The same thing with ATV trails, where you review AV trails once a year. As a follow-up for that. Number 13, correspondence reports, conferences. Anybody have anything? I don't have a very nice holiday season. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Ron.
Cool.
You've done a fine job this year, Mr. Chair.